So hi, One Liquid Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with,
Jonathan Francis.
and we're asking some questions today about his upcoming album, Life in the Weeds. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the
Thank
response to the
you.
announcement so far? Of course.
Oh, it's been great. I'm really excited. So it's actually starts. It streams tonight at midnight. So, very soon. But yeah, it's been really cool getting the word out, and people seem stoked on it. So I'm excited to finally to share it with everyone.
Hell yeah. The
Hell
album's
yeah.
awesome.
Album rocks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks. Thank you.
So, is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah. It's the title track. Life in the Weeds is kind of just like about I guess never really like feeling on top of shit in society and just kind of like trying to make it all work, which I feel like sometimes when especially like in this industry and like trying to make music or working around it, like it's just there's no such thing as being caught up. It's just like it's a never ending game of like hurry up and wait. So I mean, it has a bit to do about that, but yeah, that I think Christian did a great job capturing like the imagery with that and really like nailing the meaning with the with the illustration.
For sure.
For sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
So I wrote it a few years back. Basically just like, acoustic guitar and got it all kind of going that way. And then I actually hit up Pete Steinkoff, and I was like, hey, I've got some songs I've been working on. Like, I'd love to like lay them all out. So we kind of just like dove in and did, we kind of, we laid down some like guitar and vocal demos, so to speak. And some of them ended up actually sticking around as like part of the tracks for the album. And then from there, I brought my brother Maddie in to do some drum stuff. So we kind of like added drums to songs. And like we tweaked some stuff for sure and rearranged a little bit as well. And then just kind of layered it on out from there. Added in the bass myself. So I did like a lot of the strings, the guitar and bass on that. And then Maddie did all the drums and percussion. We had some guests as well. But yeah, that was like the main like flow as far as getting the base of the songs out there or getting them onto paper and start building the studio tracks like that.
Makes sense. And you sat on this for like 4 years, right?
Yeah, we did like we worked on it for about a year in the studio, like on like a pretty regular like weekly basis, but we were almost wrapped, and then it was like March 2020, so everything kind of shut down for a while. So getting back to it after that definitely turned out to be tricky because like so much stuff changed with like everybody, and just like what everyone else was doing and like schedules and just like cancellations and rescheduling. So getting back to it definitely like took a little bit of time. But yeah, like we finished it in 2020, like I guess sometime towards the end of that. And then kind of began the process of like putting the final touches on the album, as well as getting, starting to like put together everything else that goes along with it, whether it be like the artwork or just like, videos of the songs and stuff like that. But yeah, operating, with like COVID spikes and surges definitely turned to be like really tricky and definitely added some time to the clock there. But Sprout wanted to say hi too. She's like climbing up my leg over here.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
Hello.
Love cats. So what song off this album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Um, let's see. The last track I think took a little bit more time. Like I wrote it pretty fast, but as far as like laying out the recording for it and like figuring out all that stuff, um maybe that one. It's a little bit different than the others. So there's just like more weird stuff going on, less of like a straightforward rock tune. My favorite, I don't know. I feel like I'm partial to Squirrels on Seventh Avenue. Um, just like the guitar work in there. There's like my buddy Declan who did a couple guest spots on the album, did one on there, and I just think that one came out great. It's like a little, it's like it's a little bit more of like the country song than some of the others, so that's probably why I'm partial to it. But,
Fair enough.
yeah.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Yeah, there's definitely shuffling. Like the closing track was gonna be the opening track, but like it's a little bit trippy. So, we're sitting there and Pete's like, yeah, maybe don't put that one first, like on your first record. And I'm like, oh, you mean people don't want to sit through like a crazy fucking intro before they actually get to the stuff? So ended up turning into a perfect like closing track, all the same, same version and everything. It was just like maybe maybe put this somewhere else and just dive right in with like some of like the more easy listening tunes that are just kind of like catchy and then modern key, in major keys. So they're like, it's a little bit easier for like first time listener than to put like some of the weirder stuff up on the front end. So yeah, we ended up moving that around. And then there's like a bit of like a major minor feel to it, but it's not totally like A and B like that, but a little bit. There's definitely like um, you know, some rock and roll up front, and then kind of some of like the darker songs are on like the backside of the record. But yeah, I definitely sat on quite a few arrangements of it before I was like finally satisfied with one.
Fair enough.
So my brother Matty again ended up helping me out like with that and just like, yeah, what do you think? Like just bouncing ideas off because like there's just so many ways you can do it.
For sure.
Hmm.
It definitely flows well. It goes from like, as you said, the super like easy to listen to songs, and then it just gets weirder as the album progresses, and it's like by the end you're like, I'm not quite sure what the fuck I'm listening to. That's just how it is.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like that's probably a little easier. Like if someone's like, oh, I'm just gonna start this from the top and then just straight rocking for a while before there's kind of like less traditional songs with like maybe like a weirder structure, or like I don't know. Yeah, I guess like less traditional structures where maybe you have to like pay a little bit more attention to the song because it's like it's longer, there's more parts or whatever, versus some of them which are just like very very like classic structure rock songs. So
For sure. And I know the label that you signed to, Chunkasaw, is very like vinyl driven. Was that any thought when you were putting together the track list? Like vinyl, A, B?
definitely, yeah, like having an A and a B. Yeah, when it came time to like, we ended up going with 10 tracks, so it just kind of made sense to do 5 and 5, obviously. So what was song 6 going to be? Like what was the first track of side B going to be? Like it was definitely something on my mind when trying to lay it out. So that's what I was kind of saying. It almost has like a major minor feel. Like the second half of the record isn't like strictly all minor songs and super dark. Like it does go back and forth, but the front is very much warmer, and then like the dark side on the B side there, which is just kind of how it worked out. But yeah, definitely the B side was a factor with like where should the middle point of this album be? Like if someone has to like they're gonna sit down and like listen to it and get the full experience, like at what song do I want them to hear last, and what song do I want them to hear first after they get up and walk across the room and flip the record, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely felt like that was important to consider, you know, for that.
Definitely. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you were creating this record?
So this is a long time ago. We started at like the end of 2019 and spent like all of 2020, excuse me, we started at the end of 2018 and spent all of 2019 tracking it, and then we were pretty much done in 2020, but like I said, putting on like the final touches started to take like quite some time with the pandemic. So you know, I wrote it just kind of like when I first moved to Asbury from like living up in Morris County, where I grew up. And over like the course of a couple years, I kind of put the songs together. So there's some like variety to it. I don't know that it was like one kind of like period of time when they all came from. Like, so like some of them date back a little further, and then a lot of them are from just kind of like those 2 years of getting used to like a new place and like new people and new friends, and like not being friends with those people anymore, you know, stuff like that. Like it's definitely a lot of change going on for a majority of the writing process. And then some of the tunes I actually like put together right when we were like hitting the studio to start pre-production, to start tracking them. So like there's probably like one or two from then, from like, you know, kind of like a different period of time than from the rest of the batch that was kind of like from that initial period, like right after I moved. Like I really hadn't been writing much material prior to moving. And then once I moved and was kind of like in a new element and just like going through like so much change, like I said, I started writing again for the first time in like a really long time. And I don't know if it was just like getting into a new space and being like inspired and less like bummed out all the time, and just like going to more shows and just like getting the hell out of Morris County, because that place is a black hole. But I just started like putting down a ton of new tunes. So once I had just kind of like a bunch of songs, I was like, all right, let me start diving into these in the studio with Pete. And it was like right at the time when the Moms were calling it quits. So we were doing like our last few shows, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to do something new. Like, I don't want to wait. Like, I don't want to gap. Like, I've been working on stuff for a minute now. So I just kind of dove right into it. So it was definitely like all happening like during a lot of like transition and just like new stuff for me. Like, you know, writing it during like right after like a move and like adjusting to like a new city and everything like that. Though obviously, like, you know, familiar with this place, spent a lot of time here. Like finally like moving to somewhere where there's more of a you know, an arts community, instead of being like a stuffy conservative spot, was just like total game changer. So I was like, oh, cool, like this is what life can be like. And, you know, started writing a bunch of tunes, and then it was like my band that I was in forever was breaking up, so there's like a lot of change there. And I think that just kind of drove me to dive right into like the recording process of the album. And we basically like built the record in the studio. So it was like when the album was being built and written, put together, we were doing it like as we went. Like I laid it out with Pete and with my brother's help, and we built it on like a weekly or monthly basis where we'd like add stuff, work on stuff, come back, add more stuff. And we did that for, like I said, like basically a year and a half, almost 2 years, with some of the delays that we encountered at the end. But yeah, it was definitely a post the Moms record for me, where I was like closing one chapter and very like eager to start a new one that had been on my mind for a while.
That makes sense. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
I think, get your hands on one of the records, but
Mhm.
even before that, just on online, honestly, just to like, it, there's some party tracks, but it's not a party album. It's like,
Mm-mm.
it's definitely like, listen to it and then be like, wow, this is cool. And then like, wow, I'm really sad. And then, oh, this is cool. and then I'm really sad. So probably just kick back and like smoke some weed or drink a beer, whatever you do to like, you know, kind of zone out of it. And experience like the full, like, not just the A side tracks, but like to really like listen and listen to like the tracks on side B and some of like the darker, weirder ones. Like there's definitely like a lot of up and down on the record. I tried to bring a lot of variety to it and not just be like, all right, this is like all dark or all straight rock. And like I tried to kind of to bounce around, which was like, partially out of like, I don't know what kind of record I want to make. Like, do I want to play like heavier songs like this? Do I want to play songs like this? I was like, these all go together, and it definitely like shows off like a lot of different kind of vibes without being a mess.
Mm.
So there's a bit of like a journey to it, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term.
Yeah.
for sure. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
3 words.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, two. No. Jersey Fresh Rock.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
that's
good.
good. That's really good.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that.
All right. So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Oof. Hopefully more than one. Like I said, there's some up and down, but I I definitely think it's a good uh place for reflection, like as far as like, listening to like the songs and the different like context of the songs, different like subject matter. And for me, it's like a lot of like personal reflection. So I feel like that could be the same for like other folks too, where it's like you kind of listen to it alone almost, and like and be able to like probably think way too hard about stuff while you're doing so.
Makes sense.
So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this album?
um I definitely had a blast like getting to spend a lot of time with Pete at Little Eden and just like being in that studio with him. And you know it's just like a very special place where like you just kind of feel at home instantly. So like being able to work like long term out of that space, like over months and months and months with Pete, and just kind of like uh yeah, that in a nutshell, basically just like, that um those days just like hanging out with Pete in the studio were great. Like it didn't feel like, oh, I'm going to track and it's like stressful and like I gotta have X, Y, and Z ready and whatever. It was kind of like there was so much cool stuff to do, and it just came so naturally that it was just rad time.
I'm glad it was relatively stress free for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Up until like shit hit the fan. But that wasn't with us. Just like
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh fuck, we're
No.
so close.
Yeah.
But we did it. We got it. We wrangled it in, and got around to putting all the other final pieces of the puzzle together too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Well, the vegan options can be slim picking sometimes. So, I mean, if you're at Wawa, you're like in luck. There's some stuff there. You get a pretzel, but otherwise, potato chips or nuts are like the two things you can pretty much find anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So probably just some trash like that.
Fair enough.
Perfect. So on the topic of food, if your project was a dish, what dish would your project be and why?
Oof. It would be a Taylor ham, egg and cheese with a side of disco fries, but vegan, of course.
Hmm.
It would be the ultimate trash Jersey fucking combo meal right there. But I can't escape it being very New Jersey. Like you try to like water down your Jersey and just like ends up being more Jersey. But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's the best place there is.
You call
Right,
it
cool.
You call it Taylor ham instead of pork roll.
Yeah, I grew up in Florida Park,
Yeah.
near Morristown.
That's
so
fucked up.
it's Taylor ham.
That's fucked up. So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music. So if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
Oh man. My dog's got it pretty good. He's got his own room. He does whatever he wants. Sleeps like 12 hours a day.
Damn.
He's staring at
bastard.
me while I say all this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know our animals have it made over here.
Mhm.
Something probably domesticated. Like I'm not gonna lie, I don't really, envy any animal that's got to like deal with humans out in the wild like that. So yeah, probably something comfy at home.
Perfect.
Give me the dirtiest look.
So if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I was listening to John Prine this morning, so I'm gonna go with that. I feel like that would be a really great just there'd be a lot of great conversation to be had there.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
So for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one album, one movie, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
One album, one movie, one person.
Mhm.
Man, that's tough. Maybe like The River by Bruce. And what movie?
That's a very New Jersey answer.
Yeah, you got it. No. What movie though? Man. I don't know. I feel like I try not to watch movies over and over again because like there's so many more movies to watch, but I would probably bring I don't know. Let's go with The Big Lebowski because I feel like you can just kind of watch it over and over again.
Mhm.
And I'd bring my wife, Michelle.
Good.
If I had one person. Sorry, Ghoul, you're staying here.
Ghoul will just come as the package. He'll just wind up on the island.
Yeah.
So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
So the album comes out Friday 11/11. As soon as it'll start streaming, and I'll be taking some orders for the vinyl as well. It'll be shipping out shortly. We do have them in hand. They are physically in New Jersey, and I also have them on hand. So we'll have accurate ship dates for that. But that's really it. Like, check it out online, order it up, listen to it on vinyl. Obviously, it's the best way to do so. And yeah, Friday, November 11th on Chunksaw, it'll be available. Every site you can imagine, all that good stuff. So thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
Of course.
Well, thank you for now. This has been Jonathan Francis, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.